Well, here we are, guys. Game number 1 between Team Liquid and StarTale. And over here on the left side of the map, we have our representative starting things off from Team Liquid. He was random, then he was Terran, then he was random, then he was Zerg, then he was random. Now he's Zerg again. I think that's, I don't know if that's the actual progression, but he's played a lot of things. It's made him a very well-rounded player, a very successful player. It is none other than Liquid TLO asking for a pause, but it doesn't matter because we don't need to wait for that. And on the right side of the map, we have from StarTale sending out their ace in game 1. It's Ace.
Yes.
Not really the ace, just an ace.
It's somewhere he's watching this and now he's raging at you. He's like, "What do you mean?"
No, he knows. It's okay.
That's true.
He's not going to claim that. So keep in mind here that
Squirtle will just beat him down. So
yeah. Now keep in mind TLO does win games in team leagues. He does. He beat Marine King last season.
That's right. A very good game on Antigua Shipyard. I hope everyone has watched that.
Exactly. And, you know, from what I've heard, I haven't, spoken to him or anything like that any time recently, but from what I've heard, he's practicing very hard. It sounds like his wrists are doing a little bit better from what the community news seems to be bringing up. So we'll have to see how he plays today.
Well, Sanshorn missed to kick things off. Kind of an odd map for a PvZ, but interesting place to start. As we can see, third base is a little bit harder to hold on to and defend. Even a ground path running around the outside, 2 separate ramps that actually lead up to that. So certainly very powerful for Protoss players to go into 2-base play. Looks like Ace actually going to open with a 17 Nexus, and no surprise out of TLO, of course, just getting a spawning pool to stay safe.
Nope, not at all. I mean, a lot of Zergs have been trying hatch first lately, and I've been doing a little bit myself here, but it just feels so dangerous when you do it. I mean, and when you see it too from a commentator's perspective, you're like, oh man, I remember back in the day when the Protoss would just cannon rush you and then you would die. You just wall off your ramp with pylons, and I mean, on a map like this, on Sanshorn Miss, there is no like a neutral supply depot to stop Protoss players from doing that. So I think on most maps you're not going to see Zerg players try hatch first, but there's whispers in the darkness of hatch first coming again in ZVP. So
that sounds
watch
scary,
for that in the
man.
future.
Well,
right.
TLO is going to take his third base first of all, or I guess it is his second hatchery, but he's taking it over where his third would be located. Very quickly we'll have another drone onto his natural. And another reason, we see so many Zerg players that are going for hatch first is Protoss players are doing exactly what Ace is here. How late can I physically put down that photon cannon and still be safe at the beginning of the game? He did decide to go 17 Nexus, then Forge and Gateway afterwards with a second pylon and was blocking. So this photon cannon coming up very late, but it's going to be there just in time to defend against this.
Yep, he knows his timings pretty well. Now, I remember a match last season versus TSL where StarTale Ace just absolutely wrecked a lot of different Zergs. And what he did was just be very annoying, like we just saw to the Zerg when they were trying to get their hatcheries up. And then he would follow that up with a very strong 2-base timing. I mean, it sounds very typical, but Ace is probably one of the better players out there in terms of PvZ, in terms of 2-base timing. So if we see something like that from him, TLO could have a hard time defending against that, just because 2-base timings are hard to defend anyway. But Ace, I think, is particularly good at them.
Well, no real surprise out of TLO quite yet. It's investing in those queens, getting those injects in, upping that drone count for now. So everything looking pretty standard. And Probe does pick up that this third base was put up pretty early on. TLO trying to get out there and harass with that drone as well. It'll chase down that probe for a little while at least. But no real surprises as of yet.
Man, I can't wait till Heart of the Swarm comes out and just the way that PvZ is going to change and things like that. I was watching some games yesterday on the Heart of the Swarm custom and saw TT1 use the Entomb ability that the Oracles have to great success against the Zerg players. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, now, like, after watching that yesterday, I can't watch, like, normal games of StarCraft 2 without thinking about how the new stuff is going to handle it. That beta needs to come out, man.
I'm looking forward to it as much as you are, honestly. So.
No, I want it.
Yes, you're precious.
My precious.
We do have 6-minute gas 3 and 4 coming out. Yeah, my Golem impression is awful. So,
your voice is just way too smooth. You're like, my precious.
My precious.
What if Gollum had your voice? That would have been that would have really changed the pacing of Lord of the Rings.
I actually think it would have been scarier because they would have seen Gollum crawling along and they would be like, oh God, what is this? It's Gollum. And he's just like, my precious, my precious.
Tricksy hobbits. What's taters, precious?
Oh, man. Apparently I
We
sound like
hates them.
Apparently I sound like the 6 o'clock weatherman. So.
The rope, it burns us.
And in the west, in Mordor, high chance of volcanoes.
That's right. What if everyone in Lord of the Rings just had your voice?
But was
For
very
Frodo.
robotic about it as well. Hello, how are you?
I love you, Arwen.
That's 4 kills, Legolas. Anyway, I'm done with
Red
that.
meat
Hey.
off the bone.
Robo, 4 gates, and a Twilight Council coming up now for Ace as he is investing into his infrastructure quite well. He will be able to move into a quick +2 blink if he so desires. TLO. Okay, now he sees the Twilight Council morphing in. I was going to say, if,
and
he didn't click on it, then it would have appeared the same as everything else that was being constructed around it if you didn't explicitly click on it, but it did morph in time.
Yep, there's Blink on the way. Robo as well on the way for Ace, so getting things all set there. TLO in the meantime, putting down his gas. He does have 2 already, getting that 3rd gas as well. Evo Chamber and Roach Warren have completed. +1 weapons and Zergling speed being made by TLO, and he is actually going up to 4 gas, it looks like. So,
yes, yes, he is.
You don't want to get that Roach speed as soon as the lair finishes, I would imagine.
Make sure to get a couple spore crawlers there as well. And indeed, yeah, as you said, Roach speed is coming up with another 18 lings, so this could be a scenario we've been seeing so much lately, as Ace is actually taking a 3rd, bypassing unit /name / female 2 there.
They better never change that.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Hello, sentries.
Changing their mind. They're like, maybe later.
Yeah.
Not wanting to attack here. There is a 3rd base coming from StarTale ACE, as we can see here, so probably no 2-base timing this time, it would appear, unless he wants to do some sort of crazy cancel. He is putting down a 2nd photon cannon. Meanwhile, back at TLO's base, he's starting to get that Roach production going. And if he decides to be aggressive, he's going to have to go up against what's probably going to be a pretty well-defended home base for StarTale ACE. He's got that nice wall going and another photon cannon. So looks like Ace just wanting to do something a little bit out of character for his PVZ and play the long game here.
I like it, though, especially the way he's going after it at the moment, as we see TLO putting up an infestation pit and working towards that higher tech.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 more gates on the way. It's going to give him a total of 10, I believe. He did make a few more inside of the main. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Let's see here. 4? No, I guess just 7 for now.
Yeah, that's right. Just kind of spreading those out from base to base. TLO looking like he wants to get a little bit aggressive. Ace sees everything with that observer now, and I like that TLO is not just simply maxing on roaches. He's getting his infestation bit. He's playing for the later game too, which is great. It's wow, it didn't get seen, but it's more common now for Zerg players to go for that later game than it is to try to go for that roach max, that Stefano style people like to call it. But it's just not as effective as it used to be. So TLO is just going to poke a little bit here, but since he's not going that max build, he's not going to pursue it too hard. Maybe poke at the 3rd, but that's going to be about it.
Yeah, and Urstek getting caught up in the wave there. But TLO has a quite good infrastructure himself. 4th base is on the way. That does get seen by the observer, and that should clue Ace in a little bit as to what TLO is doing. Of course, TLO was thinking about attacking in 2 places at once. It looks like he's going to go for it and try and just focus down a couple of these warp gates.
Yep, and he might get 1 or 2. We'll see. He's working on it. Oh, nice force fields from Ace. Trapping some of those roaches. TLO gets the cannon. But I don't think that was really worth it. Not working out too well for TLO. He's just going to lose a lot of roaches without doing a lot of damage. It's not a huge deal that he wasn't able to do damage with that. Wow, Ace really wanting to stay safe there. Because back at home, TLO does have his hive. He has his Spire on the way. He's going to be able to get that Greater Spire started right away. He's getting his 1/1 upgrades for his ground, too, so he's starting to try to get back in the game as far as the upgrade department goes, and he's got his 4th base out, too. So TLO, just not worried about doing damage all that much right now. The only thing he's really concerned about is keeping his opponent on his side of the map, setting up for that big late-game engagement with Broodlords.
And TLO, excuse me, did finish up Pathogen Gland, so he's got his first 3 Infestors coming up very soon as well. We can see that Greater Spire morphing in, and starting with those Spine Crawlers, curiously using those just to surround the Greater Spire. This is very cool.
That's a great idea, yeah. Wow, that's a really nice SimCity for TLO. That's something you almost never see. That's why I love watching TLO, because he always has like a smart take on something that's done regularly. He always takes something people do, or does rather, and just does it a little bit smarter. Kind of cool to see. Although that maybe wasn't the smartest thing. Losing some roaches there. Those are some exceptionally good force fields, though, for ACE, trapping some of those in. And it is hard to poke at that and not get away without losing some roaches as well. So
yeah, I mean,
kind of rough.
ACE just trapped the most possible roaches there with the least amount of energy. Yeah. I mean, that was very, very impressive. Looks like TLO going to continue going for this. ACE is actually moving right through the middle of the map, though. A few more units are warping in now for ACE.
Nice force field.
Yeah, still zoning out those units. Looks like he may lose that sentry and does, but ACE is coming through the middle of the map now with a ton of units.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Blink Stalkers and some Sentries and Immortals, a couple Zelts mixed in with this as well, but I feel like TLO, you know, maybe has enough back at home to defend against this. We'll see. I mean, it really depends a lot on the force fields and where TLO decides to engage. He may decide to just give up this fourth. In fact, I think that's what he's going to do. Yeah, not going to really try to save that as well, but ACE's army is in a place where it might be a little bit tough for TLO to engage unless he swings all the way around the outside. And okay, it looks like he's going to do that. So yeah, this could work. Oh, nice fungals from the high ground. TLO getting a 6 around there, but the force fields are great for ACE.
The force fields are good, but all the Zerglings were still able to get through, which means the Immortals and the Sentries went down very quickly.
Oops.
But now ACE is starting to reinforce with Colossi. He's got one sitting out there, so just one Colossus for now.
Yeah, the engagement turned out better for TLO than it probably could have because that little gap in the force fields, but overall, ACE was able to get away just enough to survive. Now, the unfortunate thing for TLO is that he's not really able to afford a whole lot of Broodlords because he had to defend against that attack, so it's going to take him a little while to get that count up, and ACE is going to be able to use that time to make a lot of Colossi. Look at that, producing 2 at once right now. Yikes. That's scary.
That's very frightening, even as a Protoss player, although I'm happy to see it. So, well, +1 armor.
You're afraid of the power that you wield.
Now. Yes, and I relish it. I will not be taken over by it. I will only use it for good and killing.
That's what they all say.
Yeah. Well, ACE actually moving back through one more time, picking off a couple of units up at the front, but now there are those Broodlords sitting there. And TLO, nice job canceling the 4th base from ACE as he reestablishes not just his 4th, but also adding a 5th on the left-hand side.
Yep. That's right. Trying to bring the Zerglings in from behind here, getting a couple Stalkers. One Colossus kind of out on his own, but I don't know if this is going to be the best time to engage for TLO. Yeah, just doesn't have enough Infestors to lock those Stalkers down long enough, and TLO is going to lose potentially a lot of Broodlords here. There we go. That's a little bit better of a spot, but I think ACE could, yeah, he's going to be able to blink back and survive this no problem. And once the roaches are dead, TLO's going to be in some trouble. He's got to be really careful here.
Yeah, TLO just making a lot of Zerglings right now. Oh, he's just going to blink right on top. Yep. All the Broodlords going down. Just one more remaining. It has to run away. No longer will be a factor in this fight. Infestor even dying before it gets too much done there. And that may just be all for TLO. We'll see if he can hold on, though.
It's tough because TLO is in a position where he really kind of had to do something, you know? But it was a situation, too, where ACE was just a little bit too well prepared. He had traded a little bit too efficiently with TLO, and he's going to be able to really do a good job on clearing out some of this creep. He's going to run right up and kill this base, too, unopposed if he wants to. I don't know if he knows that it's there, but things are looking a little bit rough for TLO right now.
Not a bad decision here either, just blinking up inside of the main and now going to go to work on this tech that's sitting here. And unfortunately, even though the spine crawlers were cool, not going to be able to defend against the amount of forces that are sitting here for ACE.
Well, that SimCity was really good against things like DT and Zealot drops later in the game that you see once in a while in PvZ. But at this point, you know, I don't think anything TLO could have done could have defended that. He's going to be able to get a cancel on this Nexus again. There it is. But without the Broodlord tech, TLO is going to have a little bit of a hard time because Roachling, Infestor, Corruptor doesn't, and I think that was actually his only Spire, wasn't it? So yeah, it's just going to be more or less.
So.
Yeah, so he's got some Corruptors out right now, but that composition generally isn't really all that great against against what ACE has, basically. Now TLO, his one chance yet in this game is to continue to get ACE to try to cancel those bases or to continue to get ACE to lose those forward expansions and eventually just starve him out. If he builds enough spines, it might be possible, but losing this 4th yet again, yeah, things are looking pretty grim for TLO, although supply is still looking okay for the moment.
There's a Colossus kind of caught out in the middle here, but look at the amount of damage it has. Doesn't even care. Zergling's fine. And looks like ACE will finally be able to establish this one unless TLO commits all of his forces there. And if he does, then ACE just kind of swings in and kills a couple of bases of his own. So,
well, TLO trying to find a good place to engage. It is a little bit tough on Sanshorn Miss when the Protoss comes around this side of the map. That's why we see TLO going for a counterattack instead. He's going to get the Colossus, but he's kind of being forced rather into kind of a base trade situation here, and it doesn't look like it's going to be one that he can win.
And these Zealots are very hardy right now, so they're actually able to delay this force for a huge amount of time, which allows Ace to kill another base just in the process of delaying that. I mean, Ace does lose his 4th base once again, but TLO's about to lose, well, everything else.
Yeah, here comes TLO's army right now. Drones coming out as well. Ace pulling back to a great spot, continuing to pull back, actually, yeah, the top of the ramp. Nicely stacked there, and the drones, even though they are able to minnow walk through, are not going to make a big impact on that. Colossi Blah will go down, but in the end, just too many Blink Stalkers. And StarTale, I think they're about to take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, TLO fighting for his life at the moment, but running in with a few speedlings as
Corruptors,
well.
no.
Ace finally putting up that
GG.
base again. There it is, GG. StarTale takes game number 1.
Yep, and StarTale coming out to an early lead here.